I'd like to move my report. Could I have a seconder, please? Mayor Nigel, thank you. All those in favour, please say aye. Against. Okay, confirmation of minutes held on Tuesday, 14th of March. I'll table those as read. Could I have a, thank you, Councillor Parker. Could I have a seconder, please? Thank you, Mayor Nigel. All those in favour, please say aye. Against. Carried. Okay, now I would like to welcome Grant. Report today is on donations and loans subcommittee and recommendations for funding. So I'll hand it over to you, Grant.
Right, so I'll take the paper as read, but just perhaps a couple of updates or clarifications just to talk about a couple of the applications. Firstly, Cardiac Kids. It was previously, it's a new organisation to the area. It used to be under, they used to run Jingle Bell Ball, and it was Heart Kids New Zealand. But what they found was that and they were a great generator of funds. That the funds were going all out of the area, and they were concerned about this, so they've created their own local chapter in conjunction with Mid Canterbury, and so that's this is their first application under that realm. So the idea was, of course, to keep the funds within the South Canterbury area. So that's one reason there. Young Farmers also, you'll note they had an application. The original application was about $24,000. Because they were unable to access the Caroline Bay Hall for their awards evening on the Friday evening, they've had to go to Winchester, and that involves a few additional costs of traffic management planned and also portaloos. So the committee had, the recommendation the committee made was basically for the cost of the hire in those areas. There was one other matter. The Lions Club applied for cameras down the bay, and the committee had raised some questions about how that would proceed going forward. So I've had those informal discussions with the organisation, and that'll be put in a letter if the recommendations are approved. Basically, it's looking at what sort of maintenance contracts are in place, what can be done when the penguins aren't landing, so to speak, and is it an opportunity to perhaps provide some promotional support of via VT or the like, so that matter will be followed up. But other than that, I think that's it as it stands, Madam Chairperson.
Thanks for that, Grant. Missed the meeting, so what are the cameras for? To protect the birds, to promote the area?
To be fair...
And what is the Lions Club to do? Because I thought there were two charitable trusts competing down there already, so is this a third?
They quickly, that was the first thing they said when I rang them, that you may be aware there's conflicting organisations. They just want to get them up there, and then they'll have those in place. And then they said the politics regarding the two organisations is something completely separate. They said this is to provide support for the penguins, so to speak. That was their discussion.
So are we paying the whole thing? Or
we are. That's the percentage they've asked for, yeah.
May I just, I believe it's in conjunction with Primeport as well. They've offered the site just right adjacent to there, and I think it's more about security.
One of the ones that stood out for me was when you were talking about the Cardiac Kids. Sign written gazebo for $5,000. What sort of gazebo are we talking about here? I bought one from Mitre 10 for $399. It's a pretty good one. So $5,000 seems like a lot of money for a gazebo.
They provided, I can give you a copy of the quotes if you want, they provided information regarding the gazebo. I also spoke to them about when they, if it's approved, that it is a flash one obviously, that we could perhaps put the council signage on it, and they were more than happy with that. If the council supports it, they're more than happy to have their signage on the gazebo. Just bear with me a sec.
I can add to that too. It's not just your $390 one that's going to blow away and rip. It was a commercial grade gazebo that's been quoted in there. Yeah.
Just regarding the penguin cameras again, did we get an answer on who's monitoring them and how often they're monitored and all those sorts of things? Because it's important that we know who's taking responsibility for the data.
To be fair, Councillor Oliver, they weren't totally clear on that. But that's all part of the information that came back from the committee that I would include, that we would be asking for a plan. But they did say they had, that it was all organised in respect of what was going to happen going forward, because I did say, did stress that the council did not want to be responsible for ongoing maintenance, and they said that wouldn't be the case. So we can get confirmation of that. But because these, I had to go to them because this was, normally this used to be in public excluded, and it's good now that it's not. But so I had to go and talk to them beforehand, because they may well have seen what the recommendations were. As I said, they're not 100% clear. They just want to get the camera up there, and then I think they are going to work forward as to what. But they said there'd be no further ongoing requests to the council regarding this.
Yeah, look, and partly picking up on a point that Councillor Piddington raised about it was that one specifically was fully funded, but we actually were undersubscribed with that group of funding, so really important that we do push it out there. I was at a opening of the Glenetti Play Centre where we'd contributed some money for a deck, and it was a really positive story in the fact that they'd had really low numbers and, you know, great community organisation, you know, providing a play centre service for kids and family. Because of that funding, it helped support enablement, and it meant they could then access the back play area again because the deck was in disrepair. So some of those things are really good projects where you know, it's not easy to get funding, but we do need to push it out there. So this is a job of councillors. You know, if you're talking funding to people, just say, hey, we do have these available, and you know, talk to the team around, you know, whether they fit our particular funds. Thank you.
And I think too, going back to our penguin camera project, the committee did have a lot of questions around this, but also utilising other areas within the community like Venture Timaru. How could we promote this, you know, on a wider scale? So I think it is a really positive project, and I think more will come of it that will be positive. So I would like to see the recommendations stand, but obviously I will call for that in a moment. But I do think it's really positive for the community.
Just around the monitoring, it's a good question, because we actually did discuss that as well, and with the idea that ideally it would be quite good if it was actually live streamed back to perhaps one of the websites that so you could click on a link and actually, because it actually will look out over the bay and out over towards the Southern Alps as well. So it's something from our tourism side of view that actually, while it may do one job, it could do actually two or three. So we did discuss that, but obviously perhaps that, yeah.
So, moved by, so the Community Services Committee approves the recommendations from the Donations and Loan Subcommittee, moved by Mayor Nigel and seconded by Councillor Oliver. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Okay, well done team. Consideration of urgent business items, consideration of minor nature matters. I will close the meeting at 12:03. Thanks. Good talking.